And welcome back for some more Duelist. We're doing, another of the Flash Archon #1 best of ones, joining in by Solafid.
Hello.
Welcome back. It's a pleasure to have you on.
Yeah, pleasure to be here.
How do you feel about your fame and notoriety in the Duelist community?
I don't know. I mean, to be honest, I don't really. I mean, I guess because I play a lot and I've had some like good results, so I guess inevitably people pay attention, but it's not something I necessarily like aim to do. I just like playing the game.
Yeah.
And I guess I've had some pretty decent ideas, I think, with new deck lists and coming up with new lists. I've noticed that people seem to think I'm quite dogmatic about my X3 all philosophy, but I do think overall, I think generally speaking, it is best way to build. I think just because it makes your draws and replaces like so super consistent, which just feels so nice to play. I don't know, maybe it's just like it feels nicer to play, and then that translates into like me playing better, so that's why I do it. But I know Blam doesn't agree with me on that.
Yeah, no, I do think it's important to like feel comfortable and confident with the deck you're running. And I do agree, especially like for newer players, if you're like getting started, just follow the rule of threes.
Yeah. Because like even if you like consider like okay, if you have 13 cards in your list, 13 X3, like a hand is 6 cards. So if you have like if each of your cards in your hand is unique cards, then it's like literally half of your deck is just in your hand, which is kind of cool. Yeah.
Yeah. But before we go too much off topic, I'd better bring us back onto this game, which we've got Watabou on Magmar against Abracadani, also on Magmar, so it's another Magmar mirror.
Yeah.
And if I bring up the decks on screen, we've got Watabou on Ragnora, so that's the difference first. Yeah, just sort of some mid-range good Magmar stuff. A lot of spells here.
Yeah, indeed. It seems to be there is like some fatiguey component here, right? Because any deck that runs Alcyn or Master Hand, Twilight Sorcerer can take the game quite long. Also have like Mobius, which is a pretty like good card, I think. I mean, I think it's quite underplayed from what I've seen. Like no one really plays it, but obviously very vulnerable to dispel. But just the fact that you can like iron out your curve really nicely with it. There's something to be said about that card. 3 mana burn, pretty spicy. I think it's something that people would never expect. It's like one of those cards that gets a lot worse when people know it's there.
Yeah, it's interesting to look back at some of these earlier lists, and people are still experimenting with some cards that have now dropped out of favor. But I don't think any of them were particularly bad, except I'm not sold on Silver Tongue Corsair, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean it's still 2 mana 1/4. That stat line is good.
Yeah.
So I mean it's not terrible. But there are better 2 drops, I think.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how this deck plays out with this sort of spell recursion.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, their opponent Abracadani in what I'd call a lot more of a standard Magmar. The only sort of thing to note is there's not many 2 drops.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you don't really need them though because you have Kujata, you have whenever I've spent quite a lot of time playing against myself, and whenever I would sandbox with like Magmar against like whatever deck I'm trying to make that's like good against like Magmar, for some reason I always like make a list that's basically this. And whenever I've played against myself with this kind of deck, you don't really need a lot of 2 drops because you have Flash, you have Kujata, and surprisingly often you don't actually brick out because of that.
Yeah, it's true. You still have like a good chance, even with 6, and then you're only player 2 like half the time.
Yeah.
And then also you've got Flash, so you still have a decent chance. And then even when it does happen, you don't just immediately lose the game.
Yeah, the worst thing that can happen is like you basically have to play against Spell High because like all of your openers are terrible against Spell High. I mean, Kajata, Mystic, or Vindicator will just die to like Tossball or like Phoenix Fire or like some you know. Whereas against other factions, it's like it's totally fine. But yeah, against Spy, this deck will struggle. But that's pretty much the only one that I think really punishes like the narrow range of openings that you can do with this list.
Yeah.
But then again, it's like Magmar. Control Magmar just loses to spell height anyway, so it's like that situation where it's like, do you want to improve like a bad matchup?
Yeah, I mean, especially in a best of one, it's like a bit scary to like run into something like that. But you know,
Yeah,
I think they're running some cards that if you like flashed an Archon early, you still have a chance in that matchup. So
yeah, indeed.
if you've got nothing more to say, we'll head on to the games.
Yep, sounds good.
And let's get into it then. I've got, Watabou is probably going to be starting with their Silver Tongue Corsair. They've got a 2-drop, an Abracadani. We'll see how they play out their Kajata hand, because there's definitely a couple of ways you can do it.
Yeah, I mean, even if the Silver Tongue Corsair never actually procs its effect, like it's still a 1/4, so you're probably going to be able to like oh, that's a nice pickup.
You might see the namesake of the tournament, a Flash Archon.
Actually, I don't know how nice is it though, because you like there's so many ways that Magma can answer like a Flash Archon.
You'd still take it, like, you know, you gotta force them to have it.
Yeah.
And I was also just chuckling about Watabou's deck building. They've played this Silver Tongue Corsair, and now they can't really play this natural selection, so a bit of a whoopsie.
Oh yeah, true. Yeah, that is a problem. So interesting, Abracadani didn't choose to do like the full-on diagonal opener to like threaten the Manatar on the top with the Kajata. I guess valuing like center board positioning more than getting the. I guess because like he's gonna flash Archon next turn anyway, so it doesn't actually matter. I guess that's the thinking, which does make sense. Actually.
Yeah, this sort of position, like, it's Vath that's threatening the Manatar. A lot of the time you don't really want your Kajata just to be walking up to where the enemy general can hit it.
Yeah.
But yeah, if they had done that, I mean, maybe Watabou would have just played them or Rejuvenator on the top Manatar instead. But yeah, maybe not.
Actually, I don't know, because like, let's say this Kajata was threatening the Manatar with Walk On, then he could play Archon for 5.
What they could do is play the Vindicator on the Manatar and flash out the Archon. That's 5 mana total, right? And they've got the Manatar.
I just feel like getting the Kajata proc on a Vindicator just feels so bad, because like then it just dies to Harvester.
Right.
Not terrible though.
I think it's good though. They can play the Vindicator on the Manatar and move it 2 back, and they can like rush the Archon to be like blocking it off. And then they can even kill the Emerald Rejuvenator with the Kajata and Vath, but we'll see what they go for.
I guess, okay, I mean, now you have to trade into the Rejuvenator, so you probably trade into Rejuvenator and then flash Archon out to the Tal. Okay, maybe not.
I think they can still do it like this. Oh, they're moving it down? Oh, okay, that's not what I expected. Oh, so they're using the Archon to clear off the 1/4? I don't like this that much. Yeah, because like you say, you're giving away a Vindicator really easily. But maybe if they...
Yeah, I mean, now it's just like a really clean natural selection play as well.
Yeah. Still, that's all they're going to be able to do. So if Abra had a good play to do here, he'd have a tempo lead, but I don't think he does. Let's see what the replace is. Not good.
Okay, that's pretty bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is the problem with playing Twilight Sorcerer. It's that like in this situation, you would much rather like draw 2 cards or even 1 card, rather than like get a spell back, because you already have like 2 removal cards. So.
Yeah, Abra had a lot of choices that turn. He could make hand to clear, or just play a big Archon to play his own big minion, but choosing to clear with a spell and play a 4/4, which is alright.
Oh no. I
That's
think
a misplay.
big misplay there.
Oh dear.
Oh, that sucks.
You hate to see it. Yeah, neither player's having the best game of their life here, I don't think.
Personally, I'm very happy to see the Vindicator being dying like that. So, cards that I find.
What do you need to recover from this? Do you just play the other Vindicator and like hope they can't clear both? No.
I don't know.
No. I might have just played it because they have a lot of cards.
There's just something satisfying about Vindicator being misplayed. Sorry. Yeah, I mean, I think, yeah, now it's just like very tricky. I mean, Watabou had such a good position.
Yeah, definitely throw an OA here, and we're probably going to just see a Silithar out to come down. That thing is so hard to remove.
Yeah.
Played this close, it might be easier. Wonder if there's a way to do. I think they should be able to with a Vindicator and yeah, I think there's no, how can they egg morph it? Yeah, okay, so they can egg morph the Silithar and have the Rash or a natural selection clear off the egg, I think.
Yeah, it's still pretty dire though.
Yeah, especially the position will leave them open for Mercantor, so... Still, Silithar Elder is a card that can single-handedly take over a game, so having it dealt with cleanly enough is probably a bit of a relief. Yeah, the ball's squarely in Avra's court. Got a big lead now. Do you like move down and right just to play around the counter Mercantor?
Yeah, I really like this positioning here to make it so that the counter Mercantor can't hit general face and the Mercantor simultaneously.
I mean, the way they've done it is a pretty good Mercantor up and left of that, which...
It is, yeah. I thought that the Mystic was going to come down like diagonally, but it didn't.
Yeah, you definitely could have done that, like Mystic to the top left of the Rejuvenator, and Fast could have been one space right, and then it would have been a really clean turn.
If that's what happens, then it would have been very good.
Still, it's not the end of the world. You know, they're going to just be able to hit off the Mercantor and play whatever threat they deem to be the best, which, again, I guess might just be a Silithar. Ooh, Vindicator, is that good? Maybe save the Vindicator for like a minion clear or a lethal and just play the other. What do you think?
I think it could be... I don't know. I mean, he's either Slam Elder or Vindicator Veteran.
Yeah, actually, it's nice having...
I think Vindicator Veteran is kind of okay. Oh, Harvesters actually also makes sense.
Yeah, this is good because then you don't need to hit the Mercantor. And yeah, you've got this threat of a...
Yeah, indeed.
A rush next turn, even if it's on 1 HP, like you're forcing them to come and hit it rather than run away. Yes, that's quite a nice play actually. I like that. Worked out nicely. I think they could have had it so the Vindicator wasn't reachable, but
yeah.
Yeah, Watabou now has a choice of like how much they commit of their mana to healing and how much they dealing with Abra's board.
Yeah, I mean it's just need to heal now. But if you double block, then you play into Mercantor, so that's the problem with that. But I can't really do anything else. Or I guess you can Mobius.
I think if they play Mobius, they lose.
Yeah, you have to play Rejuvenate.
They almost need to Mobius to block. Oh, yeah. Yeah, if they play Rejuvenate the heal, because yeah, Mercantor can clear off a healing mystic and deal 4 damage to free up the Harvester to come in and hit Ragnar. So yeah, having healed, they're gonna live, I think, but it's touch and go.
Okay, well that Mobius that makes a big difference now because the tile that Megantor wants to hit is like occupied by the Vath.
Yep, smart play.
But this is a pretty nice metamorphosis here.
Yeah, the Spirit Harvester is going to clean up all these little magmas. That's such a powerful combination. Spirit Harvester and Metamorphosis.
Yeah, indeed.
Like, they're both good cards in their own right, so it's really not much of a cost to be playing them.
Indeed. Yeah, I think it's pretty difficult for Watabou to win from here. I mean, he's got like a handful of spells. Can't even clear both threats here.
Yeah.
Has to top deck. I don't even know what you would have to top deck here. I guess you'd have to top deck your own Harvester and then Egg-Morph Harvester.
I don't think they're dead this turn. I think if they Metamorphosis, like it prevents the threats on board for a turn, and they can clear off the Harvester. Then maybe just heal up with a Earth Sphere, but yeah, they're way behind now.
Yeah, I mean Earth is just such a tempo loss as well though, it's just like 4 mana is a lot, and if you're playing 4 mana then it means that, you can't develop your own threat. Probably. And the best you can hope for is like, with this deck is like Earth Sphere into Twilight Sorcerer or something.
Yeah, I suppose it's a better tempo loss than just losing the game.
Yeah.
I think if they didn't, they could live on 1 HP, but yeah. So they've equalized HP, but I don't think it's going to matter too much, because they're going to have to deal with a 5/5 and an 8/8. I think it's done. Maybe if they had Mercantor here, even then, Mercantor Greater Fortitude is not quite enough. Yeah, I think it's going to take a miracle at this point. Maybe they shouldn't have replaced the second copy of Metamorphosis last turn.
Yeah, but even with that, like, you can only clear off like one thing.
Yeah.
Just not even like, I don't know. I don't think there really is a way or was a way to like not succumb to the like threats that Abra played on the preceding turn. And there's more, even if this is dealt with, you need to like still deal with another Elder afterwards.
Yeah, that's true. Abra's
there's still like a Harvester on the field, like 2 Mercantors. It's just really going to be really hard to win.
Yeah, Elder's one of those cards that, like, when I build my Magmar deck, I always like consider it, and then if I do run it, I'm not sure how many I should run, because having a bunch of 7-drops is quite a lot. But I mean, it usually like takes a lot of.
Yeah, I think in the Mag Mirror, I think it's obviously very good, just because Magmar typically, like, as long as there's no like Harvester in play or in hands, then like you can only really remove like one thing a turn, because Egg-Morph and Metamorphosis require like an attack, right? So if it's a clear board, you can only clear one thing a turn, and obviously Elder requires 2 things to be removed. So yeah.
Yeah, like that's the really nice thing about it, is it usually it's multiple removal spells unless you're like way behind on board or something.
Yeah.
So if you run 3, like the third one is usually like they've used all their like removal that can deal with it. But then you're like expecting the game to go really long.
Yeah, but then in other like matchups, it's terrible, right? Like in against like Songhai, it's really bad. Against Vanar, it's really bad. Against So against Abyssian, it's not bad like because Abyssian has good removal because Abyssian doesn't, but it's more like Nova exists, and
Yeah.
if you're playing an Elder and then they play a Nova and then they Nova again, then you're probably just dead. But in this mirror, Elder's very good.
I've seen the funny situations where an elder's just like constantly in torment, or any rebirth minion just like dying over and over on top of creep.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Watabou's fighting a good fight, and yeah, have cleared another elder, but it's just taken so many resources. So I think we're gonna see this one wrap up pretty soon.
I think this game also like shows the kind of the problems inherent to playing like removal heavy lists, because that's what Watabou's like deck kind of was trying to do. It's just like, recurring removal and trying to drag out the game quite long, and like sooner or later what usually happens is like they'll develop some threats that you just can't actually like answer, and then maybe you don't have the answer this turn, you have the answer next turn, but you lost a bunch of HP, and that happens like 2 or 3 times, and you're just like, then you're just dead. That's like one of the problems I've encountered trying to like play when playing Fatigue Lionel, is that like in order to have it, like if they play a threat and you can't answer it, then they win. Whereas if you have the right removal for the threats when you're playing a removal centric deck, then all you do is like you don't die that turn, right?
Yeah, the initiative's in the threat producing player, and
yeah, exactly.
It's up to the answerer to stumble and then just lose.
Yeah.